card reader blinked red, declined, and the whole store seemed to hold its breath, while my pride tried to pretend it didn't hurt. A guy, 2 carts back, chuckled something about my watch. Costing more than his truck, the cashier asked if I wanted to try the chip again, and that's when a tiny voice cut through the snickers like a clean knife. "You can take my money, mister." I turned and saw her pink high tops, blue ribbons in her braids. A Ziploc bag of wrinkled bills held out like treasure. And before I could talk her out of it, she added, "Grandma says, if someone's standing alone, you stand next to them. So I'm standing." I told the cashier to cancel, because that's what habit does when pride is driving. But the kid stayed at my elbow like a pint-sized bodyguard. And I'll be honest, it steadied me. Her name was Zuri, her mom was Denise Scrubs, on name badge flipped from a long shift, and I was Nate Calder, the name folks used to say like a brand before it turned into a punchline. I built some tech, sold some more, then watched a partner gut me while headlines did what headlines do, so I left the glass rooms and flew under the radar, until I landed in Ashford Ridge, Tennessee, a town stitched to the Smokies, where 2-finger waves on the steering wheel still count as conversation. I told myself I was resting, but mostly I was hiding. You know what I mean? At May's diner that night, Zuri twirled spaghetti. Denise studied me like nurses do when they want the truth. "What happened with the card?" she asked, and I said the simple version about switching banks. "Won't happen again," which sounded like I was bargaining with the universe then. Zuri slid a smooth blue marble across the table. "Silver star painted crooked. It's my lucky planet," she said. "Keep it in your pocket. And remember to be a helper, even when your day is bad." And I made a joke to keep from crying. "Does it come with instructions?" And she said, "Yes. Help." The internet, of course, did not take notes on Grace. Somebody in Pinecrest Market filmed the whole moment, added circus music and a caption about billionaires bouncing, and the video spread faster than I could say. It wasn't the story I could have left town, I'd perfected, disappearing, but that little marble felt heavy in my hand, in a way that wasn't shame. It was aggravation, like my life was daring me to stop narrating and start doing so. I drove to Hickory Park with a trunk full of tools I hadn't touched since college. Weeds up to my waist, a slide retired sometime during the 80s, and I started pulling, scraping, sweating. There's a prayer in labor, you say sorry, with your back instead of your mouth. Day 2, a lanky kid named Trey stopped at the fence. "You're the declined guy," he said, and I nodded. "You gonna meme me or grab a rake?" He smirked and grabbed a rake. Denise and Zuri brought lemonade in a chipped pitcher. Earl Jenkins showed up with a drill and hands that still remembered coal. "A bolt's a bolt," he said. And that was that. By Saturday, we had more volunteers than hammers, and Ashford Ridge did what small towns do when they remember who they are. We showed up. A journalist spotted the dust and the rumor green jacket notebook tucked like a question. "Camilla Park," she said, "independent, not here to spin, just here to tell it straight." And I told her I wasn't a story. She smiled. Too late, and we both knew she was right. The park relaunch felt like a field trip funded by hope. Zuri chinned the monkey bars like gravity owed her money. Denise finally sat. Camilla ate a church basement sandwich, and for once didn't ask me a single question. And that's when I saw him across the street in a rental car, dark suit, sunglasses off, standing like he expected a room to rise for him. Victor Lang, the cleanest hands in the dirtiest room, back when I was useful to men like that. He left without a word. A cloud slid across the sun. He came back 2 days later with a card I didn't want, and a tone I knew by heart. "You still have a door, Nate," he said. "Walk through while the lights are on," I told him. I didn't miss glass walls and expensive lies. He leaned closer, cologne and victory. "You think rakes and murals are a redemption plan? The world will forgive you at the price of their next click. Use it." And I told him I was trying to make more sense than money, For once, he smiled like a snake and walked away. Yeah, that happened. Trouble didn't knock, it spray-painted one morning. Our mural, bright flowers and kids' handprints and blue letters that read, "Carry the light," got tagged with a fat $sign and fake saint. Not even clever, which made it meaner then. A grainy video appeared clipped just right to look like me in a hoodie, vandalizing my own wall by noon. A crowd had gathered at the community center because crowds love maybe a man in a cap said, "Looks like you walks like you," a woman added rich. Men always got new masks, and I felt old shame reach for the wheel. I lifted both hands, the way you do when you want the guns to lower. "I know what you saw," I said. "It isn't me." Somebody who remembers me from my worst chapter would love to watch me fall here, because it confirms what they already believe. I don't need a pass. I need patience. And Denise stepped beside me with nothing but spine. He was at our place that night, helping my daughter sew a volcano, if you want to call someone a liar. "Start with me," Camilla followed with what the room didn't ask for, but needed. The footage is edited, frames dropped, time code spliced. I've sent the real feed to the mayor and Earl. A man of 6 words a day said, "I don't read code. I read people." The kid with the marble reads, "True heads turned to Zuri," who didn't blink. We repainted the wall. We shouldn't have had to repaint moms with toddlers dabbed stars for the ones they'd lost. Teens sketched a little bridge over the blue planet. Zuri insisted we add in the corner. And someone I still don't know who wrote it in white where everyone could see, "Truth outlasts the noise." You can call it corny, but a room full of hands turning pain into color feels like church. Mayor Harold Boone called a meeting in the dusty library we hadn't used in years and surprised me by standing tall. "Ashford Ridge speaks for itself," he said. "We back builders. If you tear things down in the dark, you are not our people." He asked me to say something, and speeches had once been my drug, so I kept it short. I used to measure days by the size of a room, and the number of zeros turns out the only number that matters is on a library card. Folks laughed, and then we moved shelves, which is how policy should always end. We renamed the wing Bluebird Corner because Zuri said bluebirds look like streaks of sky that remember how to fly. We scrubbed grime, fixed lamps, begged for donations, and it felt like we were restoring something older than wood and paper, maybe faith. Camilla put her pen down and picked up a roller. Victor drove by, slow with the windows up, like a man casing a house he used to own. I took the card he left, held it over a tea candle on Denise's counter, watched the edges curl until his name turned to ash. "Not a contract," Denise whispered, "a ceremony." I said amen and meant it. Victory didn't arrive with trumpets. It came as a routine, lights on at Bluebird Corner after dark, Earl grinning without teeth when a shelf didn't wobble, Trey yelling from the park that the swing didn't squeak anymore like he'd cured arthritis. Zuri pressing the blue marble back into my palm and saying, "You don't have to carry it every day, now you remember without it." I kept it anyway. Memory is a muscle you train with talismans. We held helper circles where teenagers practiced telling the truth without armor. We planted marigolds because my grandma swore they keep the pests humble. And for the first time in a long time, I woke up feeling like my name didn't need a costume. Then came the little test that turns comment sections into bonfires. A man in a brown suit wandered into Bluebird Corner asking for incorporation papers and hinting at irregularities. Wouldn't say who he worked for, smiled like a passenger complaint. I offered him lemonade. Camilla stood in the doorway with her notebook closed, the human version of a porch light. He left with our posted hours and nothing else that night. We found an envelope shoved under the door. No letterhead, just a blurry photo of me shaking Victor's hand years ago, and a typed line, "People don't change," I laughed, which surprised even me, taped it inside the supply closet with a sticky note that said, "For the museum exhibit, then went back to arranging Saturday story hour. So yeah, a card declined. A town watching a little girl standing next to me when I was alone. That's how the door opened, and the twist wasn't the smear, or the suit, or even the old ghost of my name coming back to haunt the present. The twist was learning that the only way to argue with noise is to build something that hums louder. A playground, a library, a habit of showing up. You know what I mean? We dedicated Bluebird Corner on a Thursday that smelled like lemon cleaner and paper. Zuri climbed onto a chair and said, "Bluebirds forget they're small when they fly." People clapped the way they do when a child says what grown-ups can't. Victor didn't show the internet still spins every few weeks, and I'm still here flipping the ratio of cents to money and choosing to stay in a life you can't IPO. I'll leave you with the part I can't answer alone. What do we owe someone who failed loud and tries to make good quiet? Forgiveness on credit or proof paid in cash? And who gets to stamp the receipt when a town gives a stranger a second chance? Is it wisdom or naivety? And if a video told the worst story about you, would your neighbors grab paint and patience, or would they share the link and call it truth? Was I right to burn the card and stay, or did I run from a different fight I still owe? Tell me in the comments, argue it out. Share the time you saw someone misjudged and what you did about it, or the time you were the one holding a little marble trying to remember to help. And if this story earned it, like the video, subscribe for the next chapter. But more important, ain't one person standing alone this week, and stand next to them. The noise will still be there, carry the light anyway.